Hello students of Standard 10, DAV Mall Public School welcomes you all in e-learning classes. Here Nitin Pushpatode, your social science teacher. Today's topic is outcomes of democracy. Okay students, so let's begin our social science session. Assessment of outcomes of democracy. Okay, students, a government in which the supreme power is vested in the hands of people and exercised by them directly or indirectly through a system of representation. It's called democracy. Students, the most basic outcome of democracy is to provide political and social quality to the citizen. Okay, students, how do we assess the democracy's outcomes? How? Listen, students, the expected and actual outcomes of democracy can be assessed by the quality of government, economic well-being, inequality, social differences, and freedom and dignity. Students, by applying these principles, definitely we can assess the democracy's outcomes. Students, after assessing outcomes of democracy, it can be recognized that democracy is a form of government which can create conditions for achieving its goal. Okay, students, how do we consider democracy is a better form of government than other alternatives? Why? Listen, students, because of promotes quality among citizens, enhance the dignity of an individual, improves the quality of decision making, provides some method to resolve conflicts, allows room to correct mistakes. Because of these points, because of these qualities, we can consider the democracy a better form of government than other alternatives. Political outcomes. Students, what are the political outcomes of democracy? Listen. The political outcomes of democracy are to produce accountable, responsive, and legitimate government. Okay, students, first, accountable and responsive government. In a democracy, accountable and responsive government is the one that is answerable to its citizens. It is responsible for making all decisions on behalf of its citizens and according to their needs and expectations. Before taking any decision, it is responsibility of the government to follow the procedures. That means, students, responsive and accountable government is always answerable to people. Students, this provision just we are not observing in non-democratic form of government. There is no provision of democratic principles. Students, they are also not worried about the public opinions. Non-democratic governments don't bother about complaints of citizens. Therefore, the outcomes of democracy is to produce a government that follows procedures and is accountable to the people. Students, the democratic government develops mechanism for citizens to hold the government accountable and again develop the mechanism for citizens to take part in decision making. So students, this is the most important political outcomes of democracy. Next political outcomes is transparency and decision making. Okay, transparency means openness, communication and accountability of the government. It means that government should be operated in such a way that it is easy for citizens to see what's going on in a country, what actions are performed while decision making. Yes students, where there is government just taken a wrong steps, definitely we can interfere and we can asking to the government what is this. Okay students, transparency is considered missing in non-democratic government. Yes students, in a non-democratic form of government we have no rights to asking something to the government. Okay, last one students, legitimate government. This is the another most important political outcomes of democracy. Listen, what do you mean by the legitimate government, students? Listen, a government relating to making of laws. Yes, relating to the making of laws. This is the most important principle of legitimate government. In a democracy, a legitimate government is a lawful government where all the laws of country are equally applicable to all its citizens and people are governed without fear or favor as well. Students, a legitimate government should be attentive to the needs and demands of the people and people should be governed without fear or favor. A democratic government may be slow, less efficient, and not always responsive team, but it's people's own government. Yes, so that's why students, it is certainly a better and more legitimate form of government as compared to the other alternatives of government. That means as compared to non-democratic governments, democratic form of government is always better and favorable for the development of the people. Next point is economic outcomes. Students, what are the economic outcomes of democracy? Listen, economic growth, development, reduction of poverty and inequality. These are the prominent economic outcomes of democracy. Okay, first, economic growth and development. Students, it is expected from a government that it should bring economic growth and development. But many democracies of the world are unable to fulfill these expectations because of population size, global situation, cooperation from each other countries, okay, and economic priorities. So students, these things just we are observing nowadays. So students, in a democratic form of government, economic growth and development is possible. Okay, next one students, reduction of inequality and poverty. Students, democracy is based on political equality and all individuals have equal right to choose their representatives. But along with this, we can see growing economic inequality among the individuals. A small number of ultra-rich enjoy a highly disproportionate share of the wealth and incomes. Due to this reason, their share in a total income of the country is increasing. On the other hand, the income of poor is declining. Yes, students, some situation we are observing because of that there is a great difference in between the rich and poor people. But students, we have a right according to constitution. We can do any work. We can do any work with respect to positivity, and we can do any job for earning purpose. So students, this thing definitely we are observing in a democratic setup, but it is not prevalent in a non-democratic form of government. So in such way, students, growth and development, this is the most important outcomes of economic outcomes of democracy. Students, on the basis of today's short question, some assignment question I am giving you. You have to write the answer of these questions. Students, the remaining part of this lesson we will learn in the next online session. So till then, thank you and have a nice day.